States. I know you won't be able to agree with that publicly, but it is both, there is diplomacy, there's art to diplomacy, and quote, don't be a tough guy, don't be a fool. It's not art, it's a national embarrassment, and it's a disgrace. Thank you.
All right, pause it right there, because what you just watched was not foreign policy, it was political theater with a very serious soundtrack. Democrats walked into this hearing acting like they just discovered human rights yesterday, waving outrage like a Netflix script they've been rehearsing all week. Big emotions, big accusations, zero accountability for the chaos they helped create. Meanwhile, the Republican side stayed planted in reality. Calm, factual, and allergic to melodrama. You heard words like atrocities, democracy, and national embarrassment thrown around like confetti. But what was really happening was a blame shift Olympics. Decades of failed Middle East policy, somehow all traced back to one phone call. Chemical weapons accusations? Guilty until proven innocent because nuance apparently called in sick. And that letter? Suddenly Democrats care about diplomatic tone, which is hilarious considering their track record of apology tours and global weakness. This is the kind of moment where feelings collide with facts, and only one side knows the difference. So buckle up. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown, because once you see it all, the hypocrisy gets even harder to miss.
Yields back. I recognize the gentlelady from Minnesota, Ms. Omar, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. It's very clear that we're here for one reason and one reason only today. 3 weeks ago, President Trump held a phone call with the Turkish President, Recep Erdogan, during which, by his own admission, he gave Turkey the green light to invade Syria and endanger the Kurdish people. This one action set off a cascade of destabilizing events that have endangered U.S. national security, the stability of the Middle East and the world. Turkish troops have invaded northern Syria. More than 100,000 people are displaced, and hundreds of ISIS supporters have escaped. And Turkey and the Turkish-backed militia have been accused of atrocities against the Kurds, including the alleged use of chemical weapons. The Trump administration bragged about a ceasefire, though Turkey has said their operation is likely to continue. These actions are indefensible. I believe that, as in any conflict in the world, our response as a committee charged with overseeing this administration's foreign policy must be guided by our values: respect for human rights, self-determination, and human dignity for all involved. What is missing here in all the conversations about great power competition and about diplomatic norms and about sanctions is that the most important and fundamental function of what's happening. This is a question, in the end, of human rights and democracy. It's a question of whether Kurds have the right to exist as Kurds. We need to center the rights and dignity of human beings. We need to center the rights and dignity of the Kurdish people as Kurdish people. We have allowed this, and we need to talk about accountability. Accountability does not mean canceling and freezing bank accounts. It does not mean crippling the Turkish economy, enacting mass punishment on populations that didn't choose this. It means thinking seriously about justice for these atrocities. It means thinking seriously about how we stop arming and supporting brutal regimes in the name of our national interest. It means looking with clear eyes at foreign policy that threatens entire groups of people as expandable tools to be used and then discarded if we believe it serves our narrowly defined interest. It means not using the lives and suffering of human beings halfway around the world, suffering that we have permitted, that we have encouraged, as a card we play in our domestic political arguments. So, Ambassador, if it turns out that the Turkey or Turkish-backed forces have used chemical weapons on civilians, what responsibilities does that trigger for the United States?
Again, we have taken a position with the Assad regime on using chemical weapons. We are opposed to it. We made an announcement, Secretary Pompeo, at the UN General Assembly now about a month ago on the latest use of it, chlorine by the Assad forces near Idlib. We're looking into the one accusation that was made, the use of white phosphorus, which under some circumstances is a legitimate military ordinance. Under other circumstances, it is not. You have to look at the circumstances, and that's what we're doing now.
Yeah. When we had the hearing on Syria, I talked about how I felt Turkey and Russia were guiding our policy in Syria and how that was alarming to me. I just wanted to know whether you had an input from the letter the president sent to President Erdogan on October 9th.
I was involved in receiving the letter from General Mazloum, the commander of the SDF, that the president then passed on to President Erdogan, and I was involved in the general. This is the problem of consultations. We consult with the secretary with the president all of the time on a variety of issues. This president and other presidents then take decisions based upon the sum of all of that, instincts, gut feelings, and everything else. It's how it works.
Yeah.
And that produced that letter.
Yeah. I'd wish that more of you had direct input onto that letter, because I think it's fair to say that the letter is humiliating to the United States. I know you won't be able to agree with that publicly, but it is. Both there is diplomacy, there's art to diplomacy, and quote, don't be a tough guy, don't be a fool. It's not art, it's a national embarrassment, and it's a disgrace. Thank you.
Now that you've seen it all, here's the truth Democrats don't want to admit. This exchange wasn't about foreign policy, it was about political performance. The Democrat lawmaker came in hot with accusations, emotional language, and sweeping claims, acting like geopolitics is a morality play instead of a brutal, complex reality. Meanwhile, the Republican-aligned response stayed exactly where it belonged: facts, process, and national interest. Let's start with the fake outrage. Democrats suddenly discovered the Kurds when it was politically convenient. Even though they supported years of chaotic Middle East policy that empowered bad actors, destabilized the region, and left allies vulnerable long before this administration ever picked up the phone. They want to blame one phone call for decades of instability they helped create. That's not leadership, that's scapegoating. Then comes the chemical weapons accusation. Notice the difference. Democrats rush straight to conclusions, throwing around the phrase like a rhetorical grenade. The Republican-aligned witness does what adults do. Explains that allegations require investigation, that context matters, and that international law doesn't operate on Twitter standards. White phosphorus isn't automatically a war crime, no matter how much Democrats want it to be for a soundbite. Facts still matter. And that letter to Erdogan, Democrats calling it humiliating, is rich coming from the same crowd that brought us pallets of cash to Iran and apologies on the world stage. Republicans understand something Democrats never will. Diplomacy isn't about poetic language or elite approval. It's about leverage, deterrence, and results. You don't win global power games by sounding polite. You win by being clear. What really stood out is how casually Democrats use human suffering as a political prop. They accuse Republicans of cynicism while turning real conflict into a domestic talking point. The Republican side didn't take the bait. No chest thumping, no fake moral superiority. Just a reminder that foreign policy is messy, decisions are hard, and national security isn't run on hashtags. This hearing exposed the contrast perfectly. One side performs outrage. The other side governs in reality. And that's why, when the noise fades, the Republican position holds, and the Democrat argument collapses under its own theatrics.
Thank you. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.